Do you like to win? I like to win. This is Sandy B, and I'm the host of the 90 Day Win podcast. And I encourage you to get your wins with us on the 90 Day Win podcast, where we talk with goal getters, people who are determined to achieve their goals no matter the obstacles faced. So if you are ready to get your wins, check us out. 90daywins.com is the website. You can find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Come on with us on this journey of wins. 90 Day Win Podcast. This is Sandy B. Let's get it. Hello, welcome to another episode of the 90 Day Wins podcast. I am so excited today because I get to talk with Sharmane Andrews. How are you doing today, Sharmane?
I'm doing good. How are you, Sandra?
I am good. It's so nice to finally get to talk to you. I know I've been waiting for some time to talk to you. You have a new book out and you've been just doing all the things. How old is your youngest child? I know you just recently had a
So my youngest is 15 months.
Wow. Well, that goes to show you how long it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you doing? It is a new season. We're in Q2. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good going into Q2. I think that I have slowed down. I went full speed last year.
Yeah.
And so first quarter, I kind of slowed down a little bit. And I'm picking back up. I'm picking back up for quarter two.
I get that. I get that. And so before we get started, I must have you share with everyone a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go in a little deep.
Yeah, so I'm Sharmane Andrews. I am a registered nurse by background. I work in administrative, so I am a director of OB services. In conjunction with that, I am also an executive and personal coach. And so I coach leaders, mostly in healthcare, but in other professions as well. And my passion is just to coach and to educate and to mentor leaders to be the best they possibly can be, but also to actually have people to lead, to actually have people who want to follow them and making a positive impact so that they are the type of leader that someone will always remember.
I love that because, with all the changes we've had in the last couple of years, leaders have really been charged with trying to make sure they can please so many people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what have you seen in regards to, with your line of work, some of the things that leaders should be mindful of now in this season? Because, I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think there was a different mindset about work and about employees and how you kind of manage and lead them. And now where we are now, after COVID, after so many things have occurred, people doing things like quiet quitting and all the things. So
yeah,
how do you encourage leaders to even stay motivated to do the work they are required to do?
I think most of it, the word for this time period that we're in when it comes to our workforce is flexibility. After COVID, people had a lot of time to stay at home and to think about what's more important to them. And that reflection, a lot of people felt like their families should absolutely 100% come first. And during that reflection, having the time to say, am I putting my family first? What are the things that matter most to me? So I would think that the number one thing is flexibility when it comes to your workforce. It is no longer the one size fits all. The second thing I think that employers should be thinking about is now we have multi-generational gaps in the workforce. We've got the millennials, we've got the Generation Z, and we also got our baby boomers. This is presenting a huge challenge for a lot of my clients and myself. And so we're having to pivot. We're having to pivot. We're having to rethink the way that we do a lot of things in the workforce, and each generation needs something different. And if you're not willing to pivot and change the way you think about your workforce, you're going to be left behind.
That's so fascinating to me because flexibility is really important right now
Yeah.
for all the reasons that you said. I didn't really think of it like that, but to have so many different generations you have to manage, that I can imagine can be very challenging.
Definitely. They all need something different. If you're a baby boomer, you just want to come to work, get things done, dedicated, and it is really important that you know who leadership is, so you know whom you can go to should you have any issue or concerns. Millennials, they want their balance. They don't care about overtime. They don't care about bonuses. They want their balance. They want to be able to travel. They want the time off. They want to be able to do, multiple things, and their work not get in the way of that. And then when it comes to Generation Z, they want to be partners with leadership. They don't see you above them. They see you, it's a linear view, right? And it for our Generation Z is, what can you do for me? Even when they're interviewing, it's not you, I'm interviewing you. What are you offering, right? So different perspectives, different needs within the workplace. And you really do have to pivot, and you really do have to make sure that what you're offering is conducive to everyone in the workforce, or you're going to see high turnover rates, low morale, those various things. Well-being is important. Are you offering mental health support? Gym memberships, like, incentives, like what respite rooms, like now, we have respite rooms. You can go and Zen music is playing, and, the diffuser is going, and you sit in a massage chair on your 15-minute break. And so you're not doing any of these things, you may want to start thinking about it, because it's going to signal you out from some of these other organizations that are kind of above the curve here. So
that is very interesting, because I think that this needs to be talked about more often, because you hear so many people just in the news, right, of people that are frustrated on the one side, employees feeling as if they aren't giving that attention to detail of what their needs may be. And then employers thinking, well, these people don't want to work. And I don't think that's necessarily the case based on what you just explained.
Yeah, they want some balance.
Yeah.
They want to feel valued. And what is a value to a 50, 60-year-old is a different value from someone that's in their 20s or someone in their 30s. They all value something different. So your offering has to, make sure that you are considering all of those.
Yeah, that makes sense. So talk to me about leading with intention, and how are you able to empower leaders to do that?
So I think for me, leading with intention and purpose is a life motto for me. Okay. And people will say life is short, which is relative, but however many years you have, I think that everything you should do should have an intention and purpose behind it, right? I hate wasted time. And so when I am working with leaders, my number one question is why? Why are you doing this? And what is the result you are looking for? And so when you're leading with purpose and intention, there is a reason behind every strategy. Whether it's a work change process, a workflow process, whatever it is, it has a purpose and intention. You're doing this for a result. And so many leaders will implement changes, policies, the way that they communicate with their staff. But on the back end of it, they really haven't thought what would be the result. because a lot of times people, they may not get the result that they were looking for, or they may be surprised of how something is not well received. But when you're leading with intention and purpose, you're giving that action and assignment, and you know exactly what result that you're looking for. You may not get the result that you've been looking for, but at least you go back to the drawing board, but at least there's an intention behind that.
Yeah.
So it's preparation.
Definitely, definitely. I love the question of the why, right?
Yeah.
Because when I talk to my clients about their goals, I want to understand why, right? Because I want them to remember that why,
Yeah.
when things aren't going as well as planned. Why am I doing this? So I love that, because that makes me think of, in a work environment, when you're asked to do something that may be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and how do you get the team to get on board and buy into it, and understanding the why, the bigger picture of it all. Can
Yeah.
a situation where you and your leadership role had to remind yourself of it, and kind of what that looks like for you?
I think it's something that I do every day when I'm working with my team. Like, what is my intention behind this? Sometimes I feel like in certain situations, I may not have the engagement of my team.
Yeah.
And so I always try to lead from the floor up,
Yeah.
because I used to be a floor nurse, so I get it, right? It's always the people at the top making the decisions, right, for us. And when sometimes I feel like that I'm not getting enough engagement from my team,
Yeah.
I will often try to ask them certain things and say, what do you think about this? Or I'll come up with a strategy in which they will have to give me feedback on what do you think is the best way for us to implement bop, 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 bop. Or sometimes I will implement a change that I know they are not going to like.
Yeah.
Because then I get the moaning and the groaning and the complaints, and be like, you know what, guys, maybe I missed the ball on this. Offer up some of your suggestions for me. Everyone get together and let's look at what you come up with, and let's try it. And let's try some of your suggestions. I intentionally, implemented that change because I know that it was going to receive a negative reaction, right? But I'm also intentionally doing that because I'm trying to bring them together. And, it takes skill to do that. You got to stay out of your feelings because you'll start getting complaints and things like that. But I know I'm purposefully doing that because I'm bringing them together. They don't see that, but that's exactly what I've done. So now I've rallied them together to say, we don't like this. We need to do bop, bop, bop. I think we can do bop, bop, bop. And then they'll come together with a plan, and then we'll do it. And I find that I get more buy-in, and they're happy because it's their process.
I love
And
that.
so that's me being intentional about what I'm doing to get the result. Right. So it's me just being purposeful so I can get the result that I'm looking for, which is bringing my team together in unison.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So now I want to switch gears and talk about your book, Flipping the Script.
Yeah.
I got it here with all my notes.
Yes.
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me, I have all these little notes here that I put in here. And you said that moving abroad really helped change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me a little about it. I don't want to give away the whole book because they need to go buy the book, but tell me a little bit why moving abroad changed your life.
In a nutshell, I would say as an American,
Yes.
spending almost 5 years abroad, I felt like I was brainwashed.
Wow.
Living in America.
Yeah.
I'm an American. I love my country, but it really did open my worldview of life and people when I lived abroad. I always thought my country was the best. The food is the best. You can't get better pizza than New York, you know. It's just certain things, you just can't, it's the US. When I started living abroad, I realized when I lived in Doha, Qatar, I had the opportunity to work with people from various countries, the UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia. And what I found is that people live so differently. In some cultures, it is customary to eat with a spoon and not with a fork, right? Muslims shaking using this hand and not this hand to shake, and just various things that I saw on TV about various countries that I just thought was true. And then when you actually live in a Muslim country, or when I visited Africa, or when I visited India, and it's like you only get that one worldview that CNN or whoever shows you, and it's so much more to the country and to the people than what we see on TV. And so when I started working with colleagues from various countries, I realized that in the US, we get 6 weeks of maternity leave, 8 if you've had a C-section. Well, in other countries, the UK, Canada, they get 6 months to a year of maternity leave. And in the US, you have to use short-term disability where theirs is paid.
Wow.
And a lot of my colleagues didn't understand as nurses, why do you guys have so much student loan debt? And I said, well, we have to pay for college. Well, in their country, they don't have to pay for college, and so that's that. Can you imagine not having to pay for your master's degree?
Wow.
And how much of a leg up that would probably have on so many people if you didn't have to pay for your health care, if you didn't have to pay, for college. You could spend a whole 6 months to a year with your baby and not have to worry about your job or still getting paid. Even, I used to get the questions of, why when Americans come to our country, it's like, why are you always in a rush? Why can't you just take the time and enjoy the country? And I try to explain, average American gets about 2 weeks a year of vacation time. So we got this small amount of time to see your country. And so that's why it looks like we're probably always in a rush, because we don't get that 30 days that you get. So it was just an eye opener for me, that how other people live in other countries. And so, I don't know about you, but I just had a baby. I have 2. And, I took maternity leave and longer than, but I still had to get short-term disability for that. I paid for healthcare, so there are just various things that I think that it just opened my eyes. And having the opportunity to work with people from different cultures and indulge in their foods and their customs. I went to India, to the Darvi slums where Slumdog Millionaire was filmed. I actually went to the slums, and everybody is working. There's schools in the slums, there are hospitals in the slums. Everybody is working, and they're generating almost, I think it's like $1 million a year, just from recycling. They're using water bottles to make jeans and so forth. And these people are proud of what they're doing for their country, the money that they're generating in the slums. No one is like, we look at that on TV as Americans, like, oh my God, look at the conditions that, people are going to college that live in the slums. And so it's just really eye-opening to go to different countries and work amongst people with different cultures. And you're like, you know what? Wow, it's awesome.
It is. I love to hear your story, and I really enjoyed reading about your experience and, preparing your family for you to move, and just, the emotions of it and their thoughts about it. And so what would you say you have learned now that you've experienced that, you've come back home, your view of life and the world is different, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who may be listening, who has found an interest in what you've shared, your experience as being a an executive, you went from being a floor nurse to now the head of the division. So you've experienced so much. What
Yeah.
would you tell that young woman who's just getting out of school, seeing all this crazy going on, may be fearful? I mean, no
Yeah.
matter what age you are, right? You are fearful of certain things. What would you tell that young
Always.
woman
In
to?
the book, I say, you know, don't let fear cripple you,
Yes.
right? And just do it. I started out as a floor nurse umpteen years ago.
Yeah.
And I just said this to a colleague that I'm mentoring. And I said, she was like, I can't do what you do. Like I just can't, like, it's just scary.
Yeah.
And I said to her, you should be afraid. If you're 100% confident that you can just do this job, I would be concerned,
Yeah.
right? And I said, but I will tell you, when I went from a floor nurse to a charge nurse to assistant nurse manager to a manager to a director to an executive, every one of those positions I went in scared. When I was recruited to go overseas, I opened an OBGYN clinic from scratch, brick and mortar. I want my beds here, my hand sanitizer here, helping build the electronic medical record. I had never done any of that before, but I used the knowledge that I had in healthcare to do that. I went into that position scared. But I was very successful and promoted to open up an inpatient hospital. I went into that position scared, but very successful. And then I went as an executive director over the whole entire women's service line, scared. You have to, it's okay to do it scared. But what you do is you draw on your knowledge, you draw on your experience. And I always say God will give you a ram in the bush. There is always someone or someones that will help you, and tap into your resources, network, network, network. But even if you have to do it scared, just do it. And I also talk about, with my clients, we talk about failing, right? Fail. Failing means first attempt in learning.
Yes.
That's it. So what? It's your first attempt. Don't stop there. Keep going. So if there's anyone that's interested in living abroad, working overseas, do it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, come back home. I was supposed to go for 1 year. And everybody always asks me, what is it like to live overseas? Like, did you like it? I was supposed to go for a year, and I wind up staying a little over 4. And I got married and found love, and I probably would still be there if it wasn't for that. But if that's something that you're interested, take the limit. Like I say in the book, take the limits off. Fear is very crippling, and and I always say this when I do public speaking: the worst thing that could ever happen to you is for you to have a thought, a passion,
Yeah.
and you see someone else execute it, and you're on the sidelines thinking about what could have been if I had, right? Man, that's the worst. That's the worst, to see your dream manifested through somebody else, because it's enough space for everybody, right? But it is just, I just feel like that's the worst, for you to see your dream, your passion that you've been writing about, thinking about, dreaming about, meditating about, manifest through someone else, and you're just on the sidelines, like, no, go for it.
Totally. I had a friend tell me that if you don't take action with that download that has been given to you, it still has to come to light. So if you don't take it, God will give it to someone else to run with.
Somebody will do
And
it.
He'll allow for you to see that and know that, hey, I missed an opportunity here. So
Because I
you're
guarantee you
absolutely
they're
right.
doing it scared.
You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
I love that, because we all know that we're going to face challenges and obstacles, right? We're going to face that concern, that worry, because we don't have a crystal ball that can tell us everything, right? Just like you said, you were supposed to be there a year, 4 years later.
Yep.
So it's about having that faith, but then also you believed in you. You talked about using the knowledge that you had. So
Yes.
you understood that you were equipped. Even though you may not have felt like you were ready, you still were willing to take that step.
Yeah. And I think it's not only me stepping out, if you say stepping out on faith and just having the confidence that I wasn't going to fall flat. Somebody believed in me. Every position that I have ever been promoted into, someone sought me out. Someone saw me and said, I think you would be good for this.
Mhm.
You should apply for this, right? Um, so every position that I have ever been promoted to, someone has, even the position I'm in, someone recommended me,
Yeah,
right? So they're seeing something in you,
yeah,
right? So, imposter syndrome is real.
it
You
is.
know, as confident as I can come across, I still deal with imposter syndrome. But at the end of the day, I always have my accolades up, and sometimes I rewrite my goals, my wins,
Mhm.
just to remind myself when I start thinking like, okay, stop. I
Yeah,
have my vision board in front of my bed. I see it every day. Even my husband will say, do you realize everything that you have accomplished? And so the imposter syndrome is real, but it's what we do,
yeah.
right? When those thoughts start to creep in.
So you brought up your husband, and I know what a great helpmate he's been to you on this journey. So can you share a little bit about having that person that truly supports you and, literally wants to see you win?
Yeah. So my husband, we met online when I was overseas,
Mhm.
and we dated short, and we got married, and we're 8 years. There's 8 years in between us. My husband had 3 children, older children, and I was like, I want to have kids, but I also want a career.
Yeah,
I'm still climbing. And he was just so supportive. And he is my biggest support. We're here in Florida. I don't have any family or any friends here. It is just us.
yeah,
And when I wanted to start my business, he was a major factor in whether I could do that or not, because I still do work full time. And
yes,
so, I have to coach in the evenings and sometimes on the weekends. And so he is a full time dad now, you
yeah,
know, and he had a very long career as a truck driver,
mhm,
and he does training on the side.
yeah,
And so, he holds up his end and I'm holding up mine, and we're true partners. And so, after our second baby, we made the decision that we were better parents if one of us could be here versus both of us coming home late, tired, and exhausted. And so, we just made the decision that we were better parents if one of us could be here. And I just wasn't ready to be a stay-at-home mom and throw in. And my husband had a very fulfilling career.
mhm,
And so he, is 100% supportive of my career and my dreams, my aspirations. And so he supports that. So he is the backbone of this family. He does all the drop-offs, the pickups, the after school, because I have two stepchildren who are
yeah,
teenagers. And
yeah,
so he does the cleaning, the cook. Well, I do the cooking, but he does the cleaning. He does drop off pickups, and I come home and cook, and take over and read books and baths and bedtime, and that works for us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that because I think it's important to share the fact that you can be a busy woman with all the things that you do, but then also you have a home where you can work together with your spouse,
Yeah,
with your partner. So you can have that quote unquote balance, we like to call it, right?
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's, I think so many times we think that it's either one or the other, but I know too many women like you, like myself, who are doing what makes sense for them and their family, right? And
yeah,
still being able to enjoy having that corporate work having the opportunity to have your own business, being a mom, being a wife, and doing all these things because you have a partner who is looking at that vision board and seeing and encouraging you and saying, hey, you're achieving these goals. And I want you to remember that, because it is so easy to forget, right?
It is.
Situations occur and it kind of puts you out of alignment, but to know that you can come home and have someone there who is encouraging you, who's helping you, who's understanding that, you have a lot on your plate, but we can handle this together. So
Yes.
definitely wanted to make sure we talked about that, because as long as I've known you, your husband has been right there to be there to support you. And I think that's awesome.
Yes, yeah, he really has. My mother always says I'm about to be honored with an award next week, as it's called the African American First Lady Award, for being the first African American woman to run an OB service line for this particular hospital. And I'm being acknowledged by the community for my role in the community, and that accolade. And my mom will always say, every time I'm awarded something or I'm recognized, she'll say, and he deserves that too, because I can't do any of what I do with the community, with work, without him. Like, without him holding up, everything on this end, I wouldn't be able to do any of that.
Totally, totally. I love that. Well, congratulations, First Lady.
Thank you.
I love it. So before I let you go, I need to know, what are you excited about this quarter? I mean, you're getting this award, and I think it is definitely well-deserved, because you truly have a heart for women, a heart for babies, and it's awesome to be able to celebrate those wins, definitely.
Yeah.
What else are you excited about this quarter? Tell me.
So I am excited about balance, getting a little more control and balance. And so I'm excited that I have come up with a plan for balance, and I have a colleague, an accountability colleague, who will hold me accountable. And so that is, a certain time that I'm going to get off, and 2 late days a week. And I'm just really excited about that, because I'm putting me first. And I always start out good, but now I have a plan, and I have an accountability partner, and I'm looking forward to that, and having more time to do some of the things that I like to do. So I am looking forward to watching my plan in place this quarter. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is I'm working on a certification, so I'm studying for that. So I'm looking forward to obtaining that certification. I'm going into third quarter. So I'm spending all of this quarter studying and focusing on that. And then I have a lot of projects at work that I am really excited about, because it's projects that really impact the community and our community. And so I'm just so excited, and my numbers are already looking good. I'm a really competitive person. So, yes. And so I started out, it's just April, but I'm telling you, I'm starting going into April really good. So re-strategizing some things locally for work, to get us, like, we're gonna finish strong. And so I'm really looking forward to that, and working with my team has really come together. But I think my priority is the balance. So, we talk about our goals. And so one of my goals is, 3 days a week, I'm getting off at 4 o'clock. 2 days a week, I'm staying late. And that's my balance. My other thing is, just pouring into me. So I read a lot, but I just want to make sure that I get some, self-development, self-care. So I want to at least read about 2 books a month that is just about self-care and self-development, right? In any form, way, or fashion. And then I have no problem reading fiction, but, I want to get the self-development in there. And so that is one of the commitments and goals that I've made to myself. as well. And so I usually still do about one a month, but I think I can do about two.
Oh,
So that is something else that I am looking forward to.
I
And
love
yeah,
I love it because you said quite a few things that I like to hear. The fact that you are making yourself be accountable by having an accountability person, that I love that, right? Because I feel as if, and I say this all the time, like we don't have to go through life alone, right? We don't have
mhm,
to experience whatever we're going through. We can have those trusted friends, trusted advisors, coaches, whoever to go along the journey with us. So the
yeah,
fact that you have committed to this person helping you and you're excited, your face lit up, you're excited about it.
yeah,
It's like, I can do this and I have someone that's coming along on the journey with me. So I
yeah,
absolutely love that. I think it's so important. And I know that you will do exactly what you have committed to do. So I cannot wait to hear all of the goals that you're able to achieve, because I know you really you shared with us, right, the joy you have with working with the team to empower the team, empower the leaders that you coach. And so by you putting the plans in place to do that, you will achieve your goal. So I'm excited to hear about it. I really am thankful that you were able to come on the show and talk with me. I really enjoyed your book and I would encourage anyone to get with it. You'll give me the links and everything so I can share with the community.
absolutely. Yes.
And is there anything else you'd like to share with my audience before I let you go?
I would just say, whether you're in your work environment, in your personal life, just live with purpose and intention.
Yes.
Everything you do, don't waste time. Make sure there's a purpose. What are you watching? Right?
Yeah.
Like, is there something else you could be doing that will enrich your life? Like, be mindful of what you watch, what
Mm.
you're listening to, what you're doing in your spare time. Let's be intentional and purposeful about the life that we're living and the things that we're doing. Like, make it count. And COVID hasn't taught us anything. We
Yeah.
need to be living life with intention and purpose. Give everything an assignment.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sharmane.
Thank you.
Do you like to win? I like to win. This is Sandy V, and I'm the host of the 90 Day Win podcast. And I encourage you to get your wins with us on the 90 Day Win podcast, where we talk with goal getters, people who are determined to achieve their goals no matter the obstacles faced. So if you are ready to get your wins, check us out. 90daywins.com is the website. You can find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Come on with us on this journey of wins. 90 Day Win Podcast. This is Sandy V. Let's get it.